Hello, hello, hello. It's Mark Atwood here. Mark Atwood Show, Adventures in the Cosmic Suit. Recording this on Friday the 14th of June. Happy birthday, Gary Keeley, my partner in the Live 5D Health Healing Center. And happy birthday, Donald Trump. And by the way, this book, if you bought this book already, thank you so much. It's flying up the charts, and I'll leave a link below. It's really good. 5-star reviews. I think it's good, but I co-wrote it, so I would. And still got a few copies of this at themarkatwoodshow.com. Not done a show in a while because I've been so busy. One of the things I've been busy with is expanding our healing center here in Ireland, and we are about to take delivery of a number of really exciting things, not least of which is a sound healing bed that vibrates between 0 and 1,000 hertz, and we can set it to anything we want. We're going to put that sound healing bed together with Brown's gas, which is incredible. I'm going to do a whole show on Brown's gas. And within the field of the Orinoco Healing Pod, combined with strobe lighting, which can recreate plant medicine journeys, let's put it that way. And that's basically a med bed. And then we're getting a red light bed delivery in about 2 weeks, and then a UV bed delivery, and then we're getting a flotation tank, and we're getting Gary, my partner in all of this. He's a former PT, so we've got this gym stations going in, which is going to be like a really powerful 20-minute routine that he's going to give twice a week. Does more than every day in the gym, and more stuff. So there's going to be a lot more to talk about on that. Thank you for everybody that's supported the channel. Don't forget, tomorrow night on Saturday at 7 p.m, I'm doing a live Q&A with John Hamer, the author. I'm looking for the book. Author of The Falsification of History, The Falsification of Science, all the stuff, debunking all the bullshit about the Titanic. Amazing guy, more knowledge than anybody I know in that realm. So that's going to be exciting, and you can sign up. I'll put a link below this where you can sign up for that. It's going to be a private Zoom, and you can ask John anything. We've got him for 2 hours tomorrow. But today, I've got. I'm very excited to speak to a chap who came to my attention because a friend of mine. Well, you know how it works. I've got, a network of people that contact me. I say that it's a friend. I've never actually met them, but she's a friend of a good friend of mine. And she sent me this thing saying, you've got to watch this guy, Tony. And I watched him and I was like, yeah, I like this. Because he's an ordinary bloke who's looked into everything. And I think we converge in some areas, but I'm going to find out today and have this chat. Please welcome Tony Sayers. Have I said it right, or is it Sawyers?
You have said it right. Well done. The amount of time that people introduce me as Tony Sayer, which of course is like Leo Sayer, or Tony Sawyers. I don't know why it's such a difficult name for people, but you did well, Mark. You got it right. So well done.
Well, I looked at it in a split second. I was like, "Oh, have I got this right?" Because you just give me a flashback to when I left primary school. We'd had to do a show for as we left. This was back in 1980, and I did an impression of Leo Sayer.
You're a bit older than me. I've only seen like pictures of him.
I remember him.
I don't remember him actually singing or anything. But
and back in the day, going for a Leo meant going drinking all day, didn't it? Do you know that one?
Did it really? How does that rhyme though? Is that Cockney rhyming?
Yeah. So we're going for a Leo Sayer,
right?
An all-dayer.
Oh, an all-dayer, right? Down the rubber dub.
Yeah, down the rubber.
Right, yeah. Well, I'm not quite Cockney. I'm from Essex, but my dad's from Barking, so he's Cockney. So I do have sort of connections in with that area. So
yeah, I love a bit of slang. So what's your story, Tony? Because I came across you and I was like, wow, right in the face. That's the first thing I thought.
Yeah, it's pretty like that. I'm a little bit like a punch in the face that people, they don't want to hear. But it's like I say, I was just back in the day in the Matrix. I was in a state agency. I was absolutely exhausted, having arguments with my bosses, and one day I was just like, there must be more to life than this. Like, and why am I here? And is there a God and all this? And for the first time in my life, I started asking questions that I'd never asked before, and you know how intention works. As soon as you put it out there, I was stumbling across, how 9/11 was an inside job and the moon landing was fake, and everything tumbled over me. And yeah, it was very a very transforming period of my life. And of course, you know, as we all do when we quote unquote wake up, I completely changed. You know, my family, friends thought I was completely mad. And you know, you make that decision to either keep that information within you or speak up about it. And I decided, well, you know, I don't have children, but I've got a young niece and nephew who I love, and I couldn't really look them in the face knowing what I know, you know, and without. So I made the decision to start speaking up, and one thing's led to another. And, you know, since then I've ended up writing books like yourself as well. And then things really took a shift back in around 2015, 16, where I guess I started to understand more about the metaphysical side of things, and in terms of like entity attachments and etheric implants and overlays, and you know, how we're being manipulated on the astral plane, and how really this evil and this matrix is all coming from the astral. And so what you find in a lot of alternative media is, you know, people are talking a lot about like the political field and how corrupt that is and all that kind of stuff, which, don't get me wrong, it's important. But if you really want to go to where is this all coming from, this evil, then you've got to go into the astral and understand how that works. And so yeah, since then I've been sort of facilitating clearing that stuff in my own sort of work, and then really hearing so many people's stories about how, you know, entities masquerade themselves. You know, people have come to me and told me countless times where they thought they were channeling and listened to the advice of someone that said that they were Archangel Michael or someone's dead dad, and you know, they end up following this advice, and their life just ends up a complete mess. And then once you start researching the soul trap and how they masquerade themselves there, you know, when you hit the false light, the light tunnel, and they show up as your dead granny and all that stuff. And so of course, you know, when you're talking about this, it's very triggering for people, and a lot of people have gravitated into the new age spiritual movement, which I basically say is just another strand of the web. I think that
It's a limited hangout.
yeah, it's feel good factor. It makes people feel good, you know, when you're talking about guides and angels and all this stuff, and just think high vibration and never look at the negative and never get angry and all that. Of course, it makes people feel gooey inside, but is it really leading people to connect to their own sovereignty, and ultimately is it going to lead to liberation of getting the fuck out of it, right? So and I argue, well, don't argue, I say that if you're still stuck in the realms of the new age fake awakening, then the chances are that is you are going to be led back round again for another lifetime. Because if you're into all that stuff, you know, the angels will show up when you pass, and then they'll say, look, you've got to have your life review, and so, you know, you'll go for that, and they'll say to you, look, we're not judging you, but they'll make sure they damn well show your worst bits on the screen, and so you judge yourself, and then they hit you with all the karma, like, well, you know, you were a good person, Mark, but in 1996 you really hurt Susan, and
Yeah.
you know, so what you need to do is come and resolve your karma and have another lifetime back on down planet Clown World.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I've had 3 dreams in the last week that were like that. Really, and I don't talk about dreams very often, but these are so strong. They woke me up in the middle of the night, and they were all the same theme, right? So it was like I was cycling down the path to the canal in the village I grew up in, and I went past this guy that I shared a house with 30 years ago in Manchester, and we had a bit of a fallout. And then he had a word with me as I went past, and then he spoke to this woman saying, "Is he the guy that did?" Yeah, that's the guy. And I could hear them. And then I ended up turn the corner. I'm in this house in Manchester, which was where we used to have parties, and all these people from my past were popping up, and it was like, what's going on here? Am I being put through this thing? It's really strange. But I think there's a couple of things I want to ask you there from the point of view of the viewers, because I know we could keep going down this track, but just to slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you get to the, if anybody's watching this is like, well, it's all very, I agree with you, astral plane is where everything is. But how did you personally get from being a estate agent to going into the astral plane and knowing this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, it seems very dramatic, and it has been very dramatic. I look back on my life, and sometimes I say to myself, 10 years ago, I was selling houses back in Essex, and now I'm clearing entities and implants of people and stuff, and so there was a very defining moment that I've spoken about a lot down the years, whereby back in around 2015, I put a video out on Facebook, basically questioning the military and saying, look, I don't think you guys are heroes. You're going out and you're fighting wars for essentially what are paedophiles, and you're just doing what you're told. You're following orders, and we should stop calling soldiers heroes when they're flying over goat farmers on F-16 in F-16s, right? Something along those lines, right? And I didn't think nothing of it, right? I put loads of content out, but I went to bed that night, and then I woke up in the morning. This video had 40,000 views, right? It gone viral overnight. I was living in Cambodia at the time. And my Facebook inbox was full of death threats from angry soldiers, right? So this video had found its way into, US military circles, British military circles. So I had all these angry soldiers in my DMs, right? Literally telling me they were going to slit my throat, coming to find me, all this stuff, right? I wasn't frightened of that, because I know most of them are hot air, and I was living in the back end of nowhere. There probably wouldn't have been a chance they would find me. But what was interesting after that was I felt like how can I put it? Like I was in some kind of like energetic soup or mud. It was really weird. Like for weeks, even months, I think it might have been 1 or 2 months after that, I had really heightened anxiety. I just felt like I was walking around in like a dense soup, and I didn't feel normal at all. I just felt like I'd just been completely hijacked energetically, and I didn't quite understand what it was at the time. But I knew it had to be something that was linked to that video. And I thought, is it like a government thing? And I thought, no, I'm just some like small timer on Facebook, but what I didn't understand at the time is psychic energy and psychic attacks. So like when you have a negative thought about someone, or maybe you've got like a really jealous ex that hates you and wants you to die, or whatever. That's an energetic attack that sticks on your energy field, right? And so I had like 40,000 soldiers hating my guts and all of this stuff, and so I was doing detoxes. I was trying all these different things. Nothing was working. I think I even tried urine therapy at one point. Like I was desperate, and I'm not saying urine therapy is wrong, but for me, it didn't clear what I needed to clear. And I was getting really frustrated and actually quite desperate, because the anxiety was through the roof. And actually, that's one of the things that entities cause, anxiety as well. And so one day I just put a post down. I was like, look, anyone got any ideas? And then I was approached by a healer who did a clearing on me, and it was done remotely, and it was to clear entities and the things that are psychic energy, psychic attacks. But also what she mentioned was that the chakra system is an artificial overlay, right? And bear with me on this, because I know this triggers people, right? Just hear what
I know it does. I know it does.
Yeah. I've told this so many times down the years. I know how to deliver it where it's less painful, right? So, because they make them so pretty with the rainbow colors and the lotus flowers and everything like that. All right, and she was like, well, the chakras are an artificial etheric implant which entities use to lock into your energy field and siphon your energy and loop negative thoughts around your head all day. And like everyone, I was like, nah. Initially, I was like, nah, because at the time I'd just done Reiki and all this. I was like Reiki level 3, right? And but there was a part of me that was like, do you know what? That's the kind of evil, messed up shit that they would do. They would make the most beautiful things the most evil, right? And at the time, I got a flash, a flashlight, an image of, the scene in the Matrix where all the people are in pods.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That flashed across my not my peripheral, but my mind's eye. It was really weird. And I thought, do you know what? There's something about that resonates with me. And I don't know what it is, but it just felt true. Like, even though I was a little bit triggered about hearing it. So partly out of desperation, but partly because I did feel that there was truth in it, I said, look, just do what you need to do. I've tried all this stuff. It's not worked. And at this point, I'm pretty desperate. And so anyway, I went to bed after she'd worked on me remotely, and I felt a lot of stuff going on while she was doing it, tingling and stuff moving around. And I kid you not, the next day it was like night and day. I mean, I just felt light as a cloud. The mind chatter, that not even just from the experience with the military guys, but before then, like, I thought, for the first time in my life, my mind was quiet. It's like I could hear my own thoughts, and I'm like, this is incredible. I'm like, I, and then I realized, like, how many of the voices are not ours, right? And what these entities do is they hook into your wounds and your weak points, and they amplify it. They amplify. So if you've got feelings of not feeling good enough, not worthy, abandonment, they're like, Mark, you can't do that. You're not good enough. So it becomes a 24/7 thing. And so I'm sitting there. My mind is quiet. I'm feeling extremely light in my energy, and I'm like, wow, I'm blown away. I'm like, oh my god, this is incredible. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I think the chakras are bullshit. So I need to at least put that opinion out there and let it fall where it may. And I need to learn how to do this stuff. This is awesome, right? This is real. This is really helpful, because a lot of the people that are coming from like new age, quote unquote, healing modalities, they're connecting with like angels, which are false light beings, and they're getting their energy drained and all this kind of stuff. And people are, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and half the time not feeling any difference or coming off worse. And so I did. I trained, and the more I cleared myself, the more I was perceiving. Because everyone has these abilities, right? There's nothing special about what I'm doing or what she did. It's just the difference is it's like a good electrician. Once you train, you hopefully become competent at it. And I started to perceive more stuff, and then I was starting to see, like a lot of these implants that Elon Musk is bringing out, in terms of like the neuro lace and the neuro chips and all that. I started seeing those things in the astral, and when I was practicing on people, I was removing it, and they were feeling more and more of a shift. We actually have these etheric implants in a lot of key areas of our body, namely the heart as well. They don't like the expansiveness of the heart. So a lot of implants are there to keep that expansion sort of locked down. But that's going off topic slightly. So anyway, yeah, I just become obsessed with understanding that realm, understanding what was in that realm, and just clearing and detaching and understanding as much as I could about it. And a big part of that is really coming to the conclusion that a lot of these beings that we think are benevolent, they're simply not. They're just masquerading and once again deceiving us and essentially tricking us to the point where they're tricking us back round and round again for God knows how many lifetimes. So but that is very upsetting for people to hear, because who doesn't want to think that their guides have got their back, or their angels have got their back, or you know, and so I get it. I'm the first person to admit that when you first come across this information, it's like a punch in the face. And a lot of people do go through like a grieving process. It's like, you know, when you first wake up to the world, you go through a grieving process. Well, it's
Yeah.
like you have another grieving process when you realize that the false awakening was also fake, right? So, so yeah, that's get, I guess, the short version of it. And you know, from that day, you know, I've worked with thousands of people down the years. I've heard all their stories. I've worked with satanic ritual abuse survivors, and we've, you know, we've done work around that. So it's been a real incredible journey for me, and I've learned so much about how they work, how they operate, how they will, you know, attack people, people that, you know, when you like you mentioned there, like you started getting interference with the dreams, you know, before this interview. Maybe there's a coincidence there. You know, there's people get attacked before they even think about working with me, or even before stumbling across just my videos. You know,
Well,
uh,
the first time we were supposed to speak,
yeah,
I emailed you 20 minutes before saying I can't do it.
yeah,
And it was because that afternoon I just suddenly felt completely wiped out. Went for a sleep, thought I'll get it, I'll have a sleep, and then I'll be all right. And I woke up an hour before going, and I was feeling so bad.
yeah,
I left it to the last minute to tell you, and we've had a chat about that. But it was I knew something was going on, right?
yeah,
And you know, I'll just say to the listeners or the viewers here, I'm all about keeping an open mind for all of this stuff. So if Tony's saying anything that's triggering you, just don't get triggered
yeah,
and hear it out, because we're going to go deeper into this. I mean, even in this book that we've just brought out, I talk about angels in here and I talk about my own experiences. But I also talk about the fact that, you know, I was personally attacked. You know, I've said this online many times, Tony, that my earliest memory is demons trying to recruit me and attack me as a child
yeah,
in 1973. I remember it,
yeah,
right? As clear as day. And, you know, and I felt a very close spiritual. I just knew that I was a spirit in a human body, because I was just looking around going, fucking humans are in pain. When I was about 4 years old, I was like, humans are fucking nuts. What are they
yeah,
doing?
right.
But then when my dad died when I was 17, I got so bloody angry that I just turned my back on everything and then went on a path of self-destruction for multiple decades until
Yeah,
all this sort of waking up stuff. And I always say the same thing. Sometimes you just have to say it how it is. I mean,
mm.
when there's so many things to unpack in what you're saying, and I don't want to hog this. I want to
No, no, it's fine.
carry on with the narrative, but I just want to. I think there's things I'd like to add in, like the new age stuff. So you know, I was going through my own spiritual awakening 10, 15 years ago, and I ended up going on peyote retreats and ayahuasca retreats, and I just was reminded of this ayahuasca retreat where we were taught how to cleanse chakras. And literally on the ayahuasca, it was like I could feel them, and they
Mm.
were manipulating my the spirits I'm talking about. They were
Yeah,
manipulating my larynx to get these tones right. And then from there, I ended up in a field in Marrakesh with 20 women there, and I was clearing their chakras, and I thought I was doing great stuff. But it's interesting you mentioned Reiki as well, because then I started doing Reiki courses and stuff like that. And I
yeah,
had a similar thing to you, where I was like, hang on a minute, where's this coming from?
yeah, yeah,
Where is that symbol that you're telling me that this guy
yeah,
in
yeah,
Japan in a cave? Where's it coming from?
yeah,
Because I know that I've been hoodwinked a lot. In fact, I've come to the conclusion on my own that the whole world is. I say the whole world's been demonically possessed. They just didn't realize it.
yeah. It's the devil's playground, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that, you know, a friend of mine, my first girlfriend, committed suicide when she was 28, and before she went, she'd studied theology. She'd grown up in a religious cult, and she said, "This is hell."
Uh,
She said, "This is hell." And I was like, "Oh, no, it's a bit rough." She went, "No, Mark, it's hell." And I
yeah,
went,
yeah,
and it never left me.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? But there's a
yeah.
lot to unpack here.
Yeah, no, and that's again, that's hard for people to hear, because you know what the new age does is it tries to sell this place as something that it's not, right? So it's, you know, it's like the new earth, or the new earth's coming 5D, or the, you know, one of the common ones will be that earth is a school, right? You hear that a lot. Well, Earth
Well,
can't.
I say that myself, but am I wrong?
Well, I mean, when you study NDEs, what they do once you've had your life review and they've convinced you to come back down again against your uh, against your like very very strong arguments not to come. Like most of them don't want to come back. They know what this place is, that to be in a physical body, which is basically almost like another prison, you know, for your consciousness, where you experience pain and everything like that. And but what the cruelest thing that they do is it's the veil of forgetfulness. It's the memory wipe. So
Yeah.
so they'll wipe your memory, and then you could have lived 1,000 lifetimes, Mark, and done all this. Is why we call it research. We've already researched this probably, you know, hundreds of times before.
Mm.
And this is why it's so important people get it right this lifetime, right? Because we've got the internet now. We can, you know, we can communicate better, even though that's a trap. We're using it for good as well.
Yeah.
So how can Earth be a school if they wipe your memory, right? It just doesn't make any sense. And how many times do we have to experience poverty or scarcity or some kind of trauma before we learn the goddamn lessons that we're supposed to learn? Or they'll tell you, oh, it's God experiencing itself in different ways. Because if it was all love and light, well, how many times does God have to be a child having its limbs blown off in a war scenario before it learns what that feels like? I mean, how many wars have we had? Like, so although you know saying that this is hell, I mean, don't get me wrong, you can still have enjoyment here as well. Nature's beautiful, but yeah, the overarching theme of this place is fear and trauma, induced trauma. I mean, look at the last 4 years. I mean, look at our lifetimes. I mean, we're similar ages. I was saying to my friend the other day, look, we lived through 9/11, banking crises. Like, you know, it's constant. It's constant. Constant wars, because they need. You know, this is their food. They need this low fear. They need fear energy, anxiety, sadness, depression. That's their caviar. So they're constantly keeping this realm in that low frequency, so they can feed. This is a. I wouldn't say this is hell. I would say that this is a farm,
So that's
and
what I've been calling it. It's a farm.
we're the cows, right?
We
We're
are,
the
yeah.
cows,
Yeah.
and we have our free range pen, and you can go to another pen if you've got a slave book, right? Your passport. But you can't leave the whole pen. I mean, or you need permission anyway. And so this is what it is. And what I'm saying, I think, you know, there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation. People want to feel good. I get it. Like, that's what the whole new age is about. I get it. And when someone like me comes along, what I'm doing is that's their pillar that they're leaning into. Their angels and their high vibrations and their gong bass and all that stuff, right? And I come along and I boot it. I boot it from there. And then they're left on their own and they're like, oh my God, oh, that Tony, like, oh, I can't handle what he's saying. And but really, there's a beautiful truth in all of this, because if you can separate how you feel about the information and just, does it resonate? Is there a deep down resonance with it? And if you feel that there is, and because truth can be known, that's the other thing. They say, oh, no one can know the truth. We can know the truth. And I'm not saying that I've got it all licked, you know, I'm still learning, but I know I've got a good handle on these entities, how that works, the soul trap. You know, I've spent years just watching NDE after NDE after NDE and seeing the patterns, seeing what they do. It's always the same. You've got a mission, Mark. You've got to go back down. You know, you've got unfinished business. You know, all this. Oh, I don't want to go up. I don't. I reviewed one the other day. It's on my YouTube channel. I think it's just reviewing God. Right. This woman, she died, and she was conversing with who she thought was God. And she said that God and her were talking, and God showed her the planet, and the planet was on fire, and people were on fire. And she was like, "What's going on, God?" And he was like, "I'm sad." God said, "I'm sad." And she was like, "I'm sad because those people didn't believe." Right? So they didn't believe, so they're on fire, right? And then God goes on to tell her that we have free will. You have free will. Don't you have free will. Kept repeating it. That's what they do. They repeat things over and over again, so you believe them, right? And this woman was like, oh, okay, God, but it's not your time to come. You need to go back down. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. She was like, I really don't want to go back, God. Why do I have to go back? You've got a mission, right? You've got a mission. You've got a purpose. Oh, but I really don't want to go back. And then in the next breath, and this is, you can go back and you can watch the video. In the next sentence, she goes, and then I was stuffed back in my body, right? So here is God telling her that she has free will, and yet at the same time stuffing her back into her body against what she really wants to do. So where is the free will? And so in the astral, basically, you have a bunch of clowns that are masquerading as God, Jesus, angels. And the thing is that where people get undone by it all is because they give up to 70% of truth. They give a big nugget of truth, and then they pepper it with bullshit.
Well, that's how limited hangouts work. That's how religion works. That's how all the cults work.
Yeah, that's how they get people interested.
That's how the news works.
Yeah, if it was all bullshit, no one would buy into it, right? So they've got to give you a bit. And I always tell the story of a woman who thought that she was working with Archangel Michael, and she lost her cat. And Archangel Michael actually helped her find her cat. And so what does that do? It gives her great confidence that this is Archangel Michael. Anyway, kept following the advice of this entity, lost a car, house, ended relationship, like went to pit, like just her life just turned into an absolute mess. So what they do is they, just the same as what they do in the physical domain, they'll tell you what you want to hear. They'll give you a few nuggets of truth, and then there's a rug pull. You know, there's the stereotypical Pied Piper where they're leading you, and you're like, oh, this is great, and then next thing you know, you're over a cliff.
Sorry about this. This is one of my daughters ringing me on the bloody. Sorry, it's always Friday afternoon.
That's the Matrix as well, you know. It's like, all right, ring your dad now. It's like,
oh, I know. That's how it works. But it's like past 2 o'clock. All the money requests come in from all the kids.
Oh right, okay, right. I see. So yeah, yeah. I mean, so what I'm saying, and people go, well, you know, are you saying there's nothing good out there? And I'm like, look, I'm not saying that there's nothing good out there in creation, right? I mean, you're a good person, for example. Like, so, you know, maybe not all the time.
We try our best, and
yeah, we try our best.
I've fucked up in life loads of times, and I want to just. I'm thinking of the viewers here because I know some of them. Some of them are going to be spitting feathers, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
And that's fine. And my show is all about just learning and getting, you know. But even doing this show, I've had interlopers, people who channel entities, all sorts of things, and it's just been. That's why I called it Adventures in a Cosmic Suit, because I'm the idiot just throwing myself out there trying to learn this stuff, and it's just been an amazing. It is an amazing.
Well, you're doing important work. You're facilitating dialogue and opinions, but
I think that's really important.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's so much information out there, but what's important is getting to the right information. You know, there's this thing in the truth alternate media that we've got to consume all this content, but it's like on Amazon, if you type in spirituality, you're going to get all the Eckhart Tolle and all the shills, you know, all the new age shills, and you're going to read and read and read till your heart's content, and you're going to take, oh, so, you know, I should never get angry. I shouldn't have an ego. That's a bad thing. I should always avoid the negatives because I'm going to draw more of it in, which is more bullshit. And so you're going to take in all this information. You think you've read a load of truth, and yet you're probably even more. Your mind's even more caged up than it was when you started. So
no, it is amazing because I've had people on over the last 4 years that have ended up having cult followings, and you know, and I've not got it right all the time, and I've never pretended that I have, but you know, and I've said things on here. I mean, when I realized veganism is a satanic agenda, I said it out loud.
I fell down that rabbit hole. I
did as well. Yeah, but I said it out loud. Oh my god, the hate mail! I got more hate mail for that.
Me too. I got.
And I was like, but it's true. I know it's true.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just, you know, and I'm not afraid to lose subscribers. I don't care. I never did this to be popular. But I've got to ask you this, right? So just before you go on, because I think people watching this will be saying, well, so the question I've got for you is, who are they, who are we, and who is God?
They are. I believe that this is the God that people are alluring to in this realm is an AI. It's an AI system that masquerades. When you die, it works out the with its algorithms. It works out the easiest way and how it's going to hook you back round. So it'll be like, right, okay, Mark was really close to his dad, or he was really into angels. So when he passes, we'll present an angel and his dad. I mean, it's really cruel, right? I know, right? But they do use people's dead loved ones, even their animals, right? And they'll be like, okay, so that's going to be our best chance, and so it tots it all up. Then when you die, it's got all your worst bits of your life because it records everything. Because people have reported on the NDEs that they actually sit in front of a screen and watch. They often say their life flashes before their eyes, but then they highlight the worst bits, right? Because they need those to shoehorn you in. So it works out how what's gonna lure you in, because it's a soul lure system, luring the soul, right? It's in the etymology of the word, and then it will tot up your worst bits. Okay, show Mark that from 1994 and that one from 2008, because that's when he hurt Susan, and that's when he hurt Mark, and he's going to feel bad about that because we know that he will. And so then they hit you with the guilt and shame and all that kind of stuff, and then the AI system wipes the memory through the veil of forgetfulness. I reviewed one NDE, or I watched one NDE where the guy, they were trying to convince him to come back around. He was like, I don't want to go out, I don't want to go out, I don't want to go out, I don't want to go through the veil of forgetfulness. And they said to him, well, look, if you need to go back because you got a mission, right? But what we're going to do to make it easier for you is we're going to put you in the veil of forgetfulness training school. They have training schools in that dimension, right? To prepare people to come back into human bodies. I had a client, we did one regression. She was tapping into her, she lost her sister, abortion, and the sister, and this isn't the only time I've heard it, the babies will, a lot of abortions are babies aborting themselves. I mean, look at the word abort mission, right? It's so dense here for people that the baby will get to a point where it's like, no, I can't do it, right? So
I actually upset somebody once by telling them that when they'd had a miscarriage about a while ago, because I got that very clearly, that they just didn't want to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I get it. It's very upsetting to hear that. No one wants to believe that we're in this place and it is like it is. But we've got to see it for what it is. Otherwise, we're just going to get hoodwinked and deceived back around again.
But who are we?
So basically, what I say we are is we're a fractal of what we're searching outside of ourselves. We have a fractal of that creative essence within us. I don't like using the word God, it's been so hijacked, but we have that within us. We are the creative essence here. These entities, they're not very creative. They're one-trick ponies. They just repeat the same things over and over again, or they amplify things. So basically, there is a God that's masquerading here, which is the false God, and then you have us being a fractal of the true creative essence. And I believe that once you realize that this is a rigged game and you wake up to the tricks of the matrix, I believe it's a simple decision to exit. I think there's other researchers out there that make this more complex. There's some researchers out there that say you have to be a perfect person and give up all your bad habits before you'll be able to leave. I don't agree with that, because obviously working within the astral realm for 10 years now almost, intention in that dimension is instant. When you study the NDEs, they'll be like, I had a thought of being in this this magical forest, and then all of a sudden I was there, right? And so we can create realms, we can create worlds, right? You can even do it when you're physically, I could say to you, Mark, right, close your eyes and just create a place in nature that you have never been to, and you'll be able to create, and you'll be, I'm sitting there, I'm there. sitting on a log, and I'm listening to the waves, and so you're creating, right? And that place will exist. And so the same applies for that dimension when we leave. The problem is we're being, because we don't really know who we are, we're being tricked. Because you have all the propaganda here in physical life, and it's really ramping up now with there's a Disney movie called Soul where it's got the false white light. You've got the Netflix series full of NDEs, and then you've got YouTube channels just blowing up full of NDEs. They're just like, all of a sudden, more and more, as more people are dying from the jabs, I think they're.
Well, can I ask you a question? Because I had a I don't know if it was an NDE, it was an OBE, but it was I had meningitis when I was a kid, and I was face down on the bed, and for years I thought I was having a chat to the nurse throughout this operation. But then I had a flashback about 12 years ago that actually I was looking down on myself, talking to somebody all the way through. What do you think that was?
More than likely some kind of entity or a masquerading entity. And maybe, I'm not saying this is the case, maybe you were going to die or you had died and they convinced you back down again, who knows? I mean, but...
Well, my parents were told I had a 97% chance of not making it.
Right. Well,
and then I woke up 2 days later.
Yeah. Well, you were definitely out of it for a long time, and without doubt, knowing what I do with the research that I've done around that, you would have been, they would have been, if you were there saying I don't want to go back, they would have at least been trying to convince you to come back. So
why were they trying to recruit me when I was a little boy?
Well, the thing is, what they do is these people become agents for the Matrix. So when you review these NDEs, because there's over the next few years, we know with the jabs and everything, there's going to be a lot more deaths. There already is. So they've got to combat that, because they still need people to come back and be the cows on the farm, right? So what they're doing, they're putting more and more of these NDEs out. And when you watch these near-death experience people, it's actually quite sad, because they've gone through that process. And they believe in it so much, and they believe that they've met God and Jesus and angels and stuff. Like they talk so gushingly about it, right? And so the danger with that is that these channels, and you can just type in NDE on YouTube, and now they'll have hundreds and thousands of views. So people are digesting these feel-good videos, and they're like, okay, so when I die, it's all right. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to be, like my dad's going to be there. My angels are going to be there. It's going to be great. And so they don't go any further. That's where their research stops. And then obviously when the time comes when they do die, they're going to go to the white light, which I think is coming from the moon. It's partly to do with the moon. And so then they're going to get tricked back round again. So the continuation of the looping is going to keep going for these people. This is why it's so important that more people talk about this, because, and I had a great comment from one of my YouTube subscribers, and he said, Tony, you know what, the best or the most important thing you can learn in this lifetime is how to die properly. And I was, and he nailed it with that comment, because I believe that to be true. So I just want to share another NDE story which explains, the maybe the true God. And I'm not saying this is definitely the true God. I'm just, please do your own discernment. I'm not telling you where to go, but this is what it felt like to me. So there was a guy that died. He had sleep apnea, and he died during his during the night time. And he said that he saw a tunnel of souls coming backward and forwards, like from the earth. And yeah, some were obviously being born, and some were some were dying. And he was observing this tunnel of souls, and that's not the only time I've heard that before. And he was kind of like just observing it. And then he said that he saw this incredibly colorful ball of light. He said that some of the colors we don't even have down on Earth. They were so vibrant, and he was just so awestruck by this ball of color. And I took that to maybe be creation itself, like something along those lines. But again, show discernment, feel it out when you're there. Don't assume that it is. And so he said that he was gravitating towards this ball of color, And then he said an energy came in, and he said that it stopped him, and it said to him, if you go there, you won't be able to come back again. And he's like, well, I kind of want to go there. And he was like, well, you got a mission, you got a purpose, right? That old chestnut. He's like, yeah, but I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. I'm done. You know, well, you've got lessons. There's things that you need to learn. You know, yada yada, all that bullshit, right? And so in the end, as always, you know, they convinced him to come back down. And he said as soon as he hit his body again, he felt so heavy, he felt dense with the emotions, the trauma, the just being in the physical body again. And he said that for months after that, he said, I had so much resentment over what happened to me. He still does, sadly, he still doesn't understand that he was tricked, right? I've tried to reach out to him via email. He didn't get back to me. I said, look, this is a soul trap. Like, this is what happened. They tricked you, right? Because I wanted to interview him, because I could tell that he was still, even though he was out there talking about it, he still didn't know what really had happened, and he had all this resentment towards this energy or this entity. And so I perceive that to be that he was going back maybe to the real home, the real home. He was going to go back to creation, and he got stopped in his tracks and convinced to come back down on the farm. And I also believe, just tagging on to that, I believe that, because I don't know if you've ever had like a breakthrough experience. I don't recommend it now, but I took acid on a beach in Cambodia once, and with my friend, and I remember like everything I thought I was, all my problems, everything just melted into kind of nothing, right?
Yeah.
And it was like I was a drop of the ocean. That's what it felt like. And I remember my ego was pissed off. It was like, everything, so you're telling me everything that I've built myself up, everything that I've struggled through, I kind of felt like pissed off about it, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that, see, I said in a recent interview that I still want to have other experiences as me, as the fractal, as I like being me, you know. I just enjoy it, yeah. Even though I'm here, I kind of like being me. And so like when I die, I think I might have a little break, but then I might have more lifetimes of just being me in other matrices, you know, because this matrix is like a computer game of one of many different computer games that we can play. This just happens to be Sims Gangster Planet version, right? But I'm sure there's others like more like you know, what's it called, Avatar, or maybe there's other dragons, and you know, there's more like true love and light matrices that we can experience, and I believe that we can create our own worlds actually as well. And I always say, you know, I'm really big into like the ocean, diving, whales, dolphins. Like, I love all that stuff. I love being in the water, and I always think that when that time comes, either I'll go to some kind of like aqua world, or I'll create that, you know. And so that's the golden lining of all of this information, because if you can just realize that all that is a scam, and as painful as that is, and I know it's just like I'm coming along like that, if you can take that on the chin and just stand there and say, okay, that hurt, but I'm going to look at it deeper, then what I'm basically doing is, and again, do your own research and discernment. I feel that this information can help you get out of this place.
Yeah, it's you know, as you're talking, I'm thinking it's interesting that I've kept stum about. You know, I on my show, I decided I'm going to put people on, and then people can make their own decisions, make their own mind up, and then people won't be on anymore, and then you can make your own mind up about that as well. But you actually go for the throat, don't you? I mean,
I'm like, yeah, I'm like a bull in a china shop, because
that's what my dad used to call me.
Yeah, but because I see the urgency of this information, because if you do go along with, and the evidence is there with the NDEs, you just got to watch them, that they wipe the memory. You could get so far on your journey with truth in this lifetime, but if you've still got a rigid belief to Jesus, God, angels, they're gonna use it to manipulate you to come back around. So, and I'm not saying like don't get don't get like emotionally attached to people here, because yeah, of course, while you're here, enjoy your relationships, enjoy your kids, but when that time comes, just maybe you'll meet up somewhere else in another world, right? But at that point, just make your intention to be, I'm leaving, and it will, your consciousness will take you to a place where I've had people tell me that they've seen ripping a hole out of the fabric of the matrix or whatever. It's all symbolic, and so it's a simple decision, and I think the truth is always simple. Whenever I've gone down this road, I've always come to the conclusion really that the truth is quite simple, and I believe that to be the case. And I don't know if you've seen the old Star Wars movie where the captain there of the ship is trying to convince the woman to come back, and she's like, "No, I don't believe you," and he's getting desperate. He's like, "No, you must come back," and she's like, "No, I don't. I'm not coming back. You're not gonna trick me again." And he's like all pissed off, and that was they're telling you, and so. One of the reasons I'm like very cutthroat with delivering this, well, is my nature, and it's interesting. Even my name, sayers, naysayers, toe naysayers. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's kind of weird how my name is like, and so I just feel that the time is now. We've got to stop messing around in the new age arena because it feels good, and working with these entities because they make us feel good or they tell us a few things that we want to hear. Do we want to feel good in the moment, or do we want to get the hell out of here and help others to get out of here? And just to finish just quickly, what that will do to this matrix as well, because if you imagine we are the batteries, going back to my initial point, we're the batteries that power this thing. And one human soul is incredibly powerful. That's why they do so much to convince us to come back round again. You take a battery out, the whole simulation starts to break down, right? And so you take thousands of those batteries out, millions of those batteries out, then the whole thing crumbles in on itself. So not only are you helping yourself, that will echo out into time and space and affect everything else also.
Okay, so there's going to be people watching this going, one, are you encouraging people to die because that's what leaving here means in the physical? Two, you sound like you're on a mission, but
yeah, that's the irony of it, right? Yeah, it's ironic. Yeah,
the irony of it. Those two things. Let's cover those off, because I think
So I'm not telling people to die. It's I'm not telling people that this is a soul trap. So this is a farm. So kill yourself. I say all the time in my videos, if this is, hopefully, if a person digests this information, then it's going to be their last time here, right? So what I say is enjoy the clown show, right? It's just don't take it too seriously. You got the keys to get out. That's all you need. Just set your intention every day. I'm going to leave. Don't complicate things, and just get creative. Do your hobbies. Enjoy your time with your loved ones. Get out in nature. Do all the things that you love. You can still, although this place is a farm, you can still find joy and have a laugh at it and make fun of it, right? And they hate that. These entities hate that, right? They want you feeling down and depressed and they want to, wanting to give up. So on the contrary, I'm saying, look, it's your last time here. Just make sure that you don't carry any matrix belief systems out with you, rigid matrix. Get all that out of your system. Love your granddad Derek while he's here, but unless he's done some research in his lifetime, he's going to be back around on the soul recycling. So people that think they're meeting their loved ones, well, Derek, he already came back round again, right? He's back in another body, right? So and the other question was a mission. Am I on a mission? I would say that I feel my life has purpose. I don't know whether that's different to having a mission, and whether it's I know it's my mission. It's not the mission they would have wanted for me. My mission would have been something along the lines of you know, you've got lessons here to learn, Tony. You need to stay in your 8 till 6 estate agency job and learn how to be micromanaged every day of your life so God can experience how micromanagement feels, right? That's how they would sell my mission. My mission right now is my mission, and it's coming from my soul and my willpower, and I'm engaging my willpower to to affect people. And I want to help myself first, but B, I want to help other people. Like when you look down human history, it's just terribly sad, and I just it's time now for this shit show to end. And
Well,
and they're scared. They want it to carry on. So
well, there's so many questions here. So I've had people on the show over the last 4 years talking about the reincarnation wheel. Have you heard that term?
yeah,
Being a machine that got turned off. But just pause that on that one. Myself, my own personal experience of being here is I always knew this was my last time here.
yeah, that's great.
I
Yeah,
don't know how. I just knew.
a lot of people say that to me. A lot of
Yeah.
people say that to me.
But I
Yeah,
also knew that I'd been here before, even when I was a little boy.
yeah.
And I'm still wondering why what they were trying to recruit me for, because it's
Well, you think about it. You've got already you've got a decent following on your YouTube. You're out there. You're public. They would want you to direct you towards certain information streams and propagate certain ideologies to people that may not be exactly where it needs to be, right? And so I'm not saying that that's happened. I'm just saying that may be because they use people like that.
I know.
This
Yeah.
is how people get corrupted. And sometimes you can be watching a person and you'll be watching them for months and they'll be like, yeah, 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 yeah. And then all of a sudden there's a shift. Hang on a minute, they weren't saying that like 4 months ago. And then you find out they went on an ayahuasca retreat and they got a demonic attachment that's working through them now. And they're making, now they're talking about going vegan and all this stuff, right? And so they're constantly always trying to influence, and they will constantly always try and influence people that have influence and direct and cajole them into.
But from that point of view, can they see who your soul is?
They can see your future timelines.
Your future timeline. That's what I mean.
So they would have known that you would have been doing this, and they would, without doubt, and maybe that's what those dreams were to do. I mean, we don't always remember all of our dreams, but yeah, they will want this podcast directed in a certain direction. They wouldn't want me on here, that's for sure. And so yeah, it's we're at warfare, and it's an information war on one level, and so they want to try and control and dictate where that goes, and that's why we have so much controlled opposition out there, and Pied Pipers, so that's why it's really important that people come out of their feelings, like how does the information feel good, but go towards, does the information feel true? And it's like, I know that Tony's telling me it's hurting me like hell, but does it feel true? And that's what we need to get. It's not about listening to a whole load of information. It's about getting the right information. And like I say, we can know the truth. The truth can be known. We have to go through a whole bunch of horse shit to find it. So yeah.
So linking into that way of looking at things, how do you explain the democide, the genocide, the mass murder? Because if there's so many people leaving all at once, doesn't that destroy the matrix?
Well, I don't know if there has been people leaving all at once. I think this is what this time is all about. And you can see with all the propaganda of the NDEs that they are really concerned about people figuring that stuff out and exiting en masse, right? And the interesting thing is when you look at where they want to take the world, how are they going to trap? And this is a really disturbing thing. Have you ever seen Black Mirror?
Yeah, do you know what? I can't watch it. It makes me ill. It makes me ill.
Yeah, exactly right.
I've watched a few episodes and I've just felt sick.
Yeah, so there's going to be a new way that they're going to try to trap people's consciousness. So what we're going to see, and we're already seeing it over the next few years, they're going to say they're going to heal all these diseases with technology, and there'll be cures for cancers and all this stuff, and it'll all be about putting chips in yourself, in your body, and all this stuff. But if you're a younger generation and you've grown up with this, it's not going to feel so weird, right? Because you've been around technology all your life. And what they're going to do is they're going to, at some point, there's going to be something called consciousness transference.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say to you, look, Mark, unfortunately, you're terminally ill, but you don't have to die. And you'll be like, what? I don't have to die, but I'm terminally ill. And yeah. Well, what we can do is we can upload your consciousness onto this USB or this microchip.
Klaus Schwab was telling the WEF young members this meetings years ago.
Yeah, and you'll just exist in a quantum computer, and of course they've got clones now. We can clone you, and then we can upload you into upload your consciousness into a clone, and you don't have to die. And so what that is doing, imagine your consciousness being uploaded into a quantum computer. So that's not that is a trap then. I mean, I don't know how you get out of that.
Have you heard of Donald Marshall?
Yes. Yeah, I've heard about it.
Because he talks about going into REM sleep, and then they take his consciousness out, put him in these underground stadiums where he gets murdered over and over again by.
Yeah, I've heard that. It wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility, I wouldn't have thought. But with the new soul trap, I don't know. I don't think anything's impossible, but I wouldn't like to be the one to work out how to get out of a quantum computer once I've given my consent to be there. And if you watch,
isn't it possible we're already in one?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we're there yet. Certainly, there are astral quantum computers that we're coded into, and that's like etheric interference and stuff. But I don't know whether this is a big quantum computer. I hope not. I mean,
it's like that. What was that film about the dreams, Inception?
Yeah.
Dream within the dream within the dream, and it's like that is true horror.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's where they want to take it. That's going to be the new soul trap, whereby they're going to convince people to, get their consciousness upload. And if you watch the Black Mirror episodes, there's one episode, or there's a couple of episodes. There's one where they upload this person's consciousness and put it in a teddy bear, and then they forget about the teddy bear. And then hundreds of years later, this teddy bear is still it's in a museum in a cabinet with this person in the teddy bear stuck in it. Like, it's really grim, right? Yeah. But that's kind of where they want to take it. I mean, whether or not they'll ever get there. I personally, I think there's too much pushback on things now for them to get all the things that they want. But I think they would like to get it there. And so the soul trap is starting to break down, and people are realizing that whole thing's a scam, and so we are going to see waves of batteries coming out of the machine, and they're trying to scramble now, and they're getting all the agents of the Matrix, the people that have had these NDEs, to put out videos saying, "Oh, it's great, God's there, God loves you, like you've got free will, your angels are going to be there, Dad's going to be there. It's all right." They show. I mean, who are these fucking people to judge us anyway? Like, who are these people to put us in front of a video, and like, who's doing all the judging? You know what I mean? Who is it to say that your karma's bad, right? When the people that are telling us about karma, they're out raping and pillaging, right? It's just, who are these beings? We've got to stop giving our power away, and people pedestalize these things.
I know.
When you review these NDEs, it's like, there were these hooded beings there, these robed beings, and they told me everything that I needed to know. And it's like, no, they didn't, because they didn't tell you about what this place was when they convinced you to come back down again. They didn't tell you it's a farm, because they come back and they say, and suddenly I knew everything. And I'm like, well, if you knew everything, you wouldn't be back here. Like, let's put it like that, right? So it's frustrating to watch sometimes, and we have to stop looking outside of ourselves for deities, beings, figures of light. you know, all this stuff. We're tying ourselves up in knots. Come back to your own sovereignty. Realize that you are a fractal of what you're seeking outside of yourself, and you know, just make that decision. I'm leaving, and then, you know, from there, I think it's as easy as that.
Well, that is a good positive note, because I was going to ask you for a positive note.
Leave it on a positive note, yeah.
Because there's some people watching, I don't like the sound, it's horrible.
No.
But it is, I mean, I've been saying for a few
But
years.
again, sorry, Mark, that's mind control, because if you're basing truth on how it makes you feel, you're going to get tripped over.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's people have got to get out of that mindset of just wanting to hear something that makes them feel good, you know.
But this is I've been saying COVID's like the best thing that's ever happened to humanity, because we know who everybody is, and you're talking about the return, you know, becoming sovereign. That's been a big theme of everything I've been doing, and trying to get, you know, people to realize that you're responsible for yourself. We're in a post-guru age. I mean, it's ironic, you know, you go online, you start trying to tell people stuff or discuss stuff, then they start looking at you like you're a guru.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I'm like, I'm not a guru.
Yeah,
right?
I hate that.
I hate it too, because I used to teach internet marketing, and I did a seminar in London about 14 years ago, and I got called a guru on stage, and I said, I'm not a guru. I just know how to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm telling you how to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm a guru. It just means I'm sharing knowledge, right?
And that's because people, you know, they've got such a low opinion of themselves. They don't know what they are, you know, on a deep level. They've probably not done a lot of inner work, so they've got these feelings of not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. And yeah, the whole pedalization of not only people but these entities, you know, they hang off every word they say. Sometimes I've even thought, going back to your point, sometimes I've thought to myself, sometimes I feel like I could say anything, and some of these people would just believe me. I mean, obviously I don't, but I have had that before, where, you know, that energy of pedalization is like, no, this is not good, and I don't like that at all. So of course, listen to information. Does it resonate? And take that and move with it, and but never really, you know, people have got to start trusting in themselves more, you know.
100%. And there's a lot of avenues we could have gone down, but we're at an hour, and I like to keep these at about an hour. But I would say to those watching, if you've got comments on what Tony said, leave them below. Don't worry, I don't think you'll offend him, and you won't offend me. And maybe we could come back and do a bit more on dig deeper into some of these things. But if you're up for that, but in the meantime, because it's so stimulating.
Yeah. I mean, on its deepest level, it's empowering, right?
It is. Yeah.
It's not when you first hear it, you think, oh my God. but when you digest it, you're like, oh, actually, you know, what I'm seeking, I am, and I just got to say, I'm done with this place, and really, it's simple. So,
well, I definitely don't want to come back.
No, well, it's your last lifetime here, so yeah.
And I think they knew that when I came in. I think I came to fuck them up a little bit, but I hope so. Anyway, I like to think that.
Well, we're already doing that, so you know, it's great that you're doing what you do and provide. And I always say it on these podcasts. You know, people, they sit there and watch these podcasts. This takes a time to put together. There's editing that goes on. So, you know, kudos to you for providing this space and doing what you do, and you know, that in and of itself is helping everyone. So,
well, you know, like I said earlier, we're all doing our best at trying to work this out, and that's what I like about it, actually, because one of the things I was going to say at the top, but I didn't, is that, you know, collaboration is everything, and I do like to see things as lessons. You know, I've watched some of your videos picking apart some people that I've gone, oh wow, he said it out loud, brilliant. But I do think it's you know, including myself. It's like you go up the garden path a few times and then realize, oh, maybe that's not what I thought it was, and then you come back.
Well, we've all been,
and you do feel stupid, you know.
The vegan thing, it sounds like we'll have to have another chat about that. But it sounds like we went through the same thing. But
oh man, look, my viewers are probably fed up with me going on about it, but in COVID, I'm looking at 3 vegetable patches from this window that I built in 2020, and they've just done nothing for 2 years because all I've eaten is meat and eggs and fish.
Yeah, same. Yeah, they got me with my empathy on that, because
me too. The same with all of us.
Watching that, so in a way, I kind of forgive myself, because I know that it was through my care and my love for living beings and how they were treated that I fell for it, right?
Me too.
But yeah, I was the same. I could have stayed here in Mexico as like a closet meat eater, right? No one would have known. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I got to come out the vegan closet and tell everyone. And so I did, and I got the same reaction. I got absolutely pelted.
No, it's mind blowing, because I've interviewed, I've talked about satanic ritual abuse, adrenochrome, all of these really fucking dark, nasty things. Nothing. Talk about that, and I got accused of all sorts. I'll just tell you this story before I go. What you were talking about with the New Age stuff is, because I was talking online about this conspiracies and things like that for years, and I got the same person that called me a guru then got in touch with. She actually did me a couple of favors, but she got in touch with me once, and she said, "You got to stop talking about all this horrible stuff." And I went, "Why?" She said, "Because this is an inside job." Right. And I went, "Okay, well, I know it's an inside job, but don't we need to know what the enemy is?"
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, how do we know what we're up against?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I couldn't understand that whole thing, and a lot of the ayahuasca crowd.
Yeah. They won't acknowledge entities. I've got someone coming up on my channel next week. I'm interviewing her, and she went through hell with it, and she yeah. I mean, I'd
like to dig deeper into that with you, because I've got a lot of plant medicine experience.
Yeah.
And I got different things from what most people seem to have got.
On my YouTube channel, my second most recent upload is a guy that I review, where he tells his experience of an ayahuasca trip, and I break it all down. So that's worth watching as well. But yeah, we'll have another chat about that at some point.
Yeah, because it's fascinating, and I don't, like I said, I'm not called. I don't feel the pull anymore. I felt like I had to do it because I wanted to go through the experience. But yeah, some dark stuff there. But how do people get hold of you and follow you, Tony?
Yeah, so my website is transcendingtimes.org. That's where I've got all the details of my books and my course and everything like that. And I've got my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Tony Sayers. And yeah, I've got a Telegram.
Or as I'm going to call you from now on, Toe Naysayers.
Toe Naysayers, yeah. There's some kind of like synchro mysticism about that. So
there is.
It's really weird. It's really weird. So
have you had the numerology done on your name?
Yeah, I'm 33 all over, and
same here.
Yeah, and my date of birth 33, and I got my birth chart read, because people think 33 it's a negative. It's actually, they just use it as negative.
Oh no, it's positive. Yeah. It's supposed to be Christ consciousness. Whatever. I was going to ask you about that, but that's probably a whole other hour.
But the other thing is, when I had my birth chart read by a lovely lady called Ola Walney, she does really good work, and it just had like no kids, teacher in all my in all my different parts. So I kind of, I think that's what, I think that's my gig here before I go, along with other people, like I'm learning from other people all the time, and we're all trying to do the best we can. So yeah.
Well, thank you for a stimulating chat. Thank you guys for watching. Keep an open mind. Leave comments below. I'll get Tony on again, because there's loads of subjects we could have gone deep into, but I just want to introduce you to my audience, because I'm always a fan. There's so much about what you say that resonates with me. Yeah, I'm still interested in all those people that have these channelings and things like this. So fascinating, but to break it down so simply like that is going to give me something to chew on over the weekend, and hopefully from the viewers too. So,
right. Well, thanks again for having me on, and thanks to your viewers for hearing me out.
Well, thank you. Give my love to Mexico, and I'll hopefully speak to you soon. Cheers, Tony.
Speak to you soon, Mark. Bye.